Well, hello, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back. Jiu-Jitsu 2000 here today. I hope you guys are doing fantastic out there. As you can see, we're going to be talking about my Suzuki DR650 today. I've got two boxes of stuff that I'm going to install on this bike. This top box is the racks that are going to hold the panniers, the aluminum boxes. This is not going to be like a big time instructional video. There's a video on YouTube already. I'll put a link in the description box down below that shows that installation process very well. But in this video, yeah, I'm going to share with you what I'm going through to install these racks. I do have some tools here. This is some metric Allen wrenches. I did pick up some Loctite. I do have a Sharpie. We'll need that later for marking the boxes. 14mm wrench, and then I have a small socket set. There might be more tools that I'll need. If that happens, I'll share that for sure in the video. So getting started, let's just take a look and see what's in this box. See what we're going to be dealing with. There's a lot of stuff here. Let's take a look at this second box. Okay, we're going to get started by removing both of these bolts that hold the left side passenger foot peg on. So this is a 6mm Allen. And now moving up, we're going to take off the left side grab handle. I'm also using the 6mm. So we'll loosen these. And then we'll just kind of let this stuff kind of dangle. There's my little spacer for my rack. Now that I have stuff disconnected on this side, I'm going to repeat the process on the other side of the bike. Now we're going to remove the helmet lock with this supplied Torx wrench here that comes in the kit. This is a T30. The T30 that was included with the kit did not fit properly into the T30 that was on the bike, but it did work, but it didn't fit real snug. I had to take a hammer and kind of hammer it into the bolt. Okay, now we're going to take the helmet lock and install it right here on this bar right here. So to get that started, I'm just going to get a little bit of Loctite on this guy right here. Now we have that installed on this bar here. I want to make note of one thing. All this hardware right here that we see that's laid out, this was the hardware that was in the bag. And all of this hardware is going to be used to mount the rack to the bike. All of this hardware is going to be used to mount the panniers to the rack. To mount the left rack, we're going to need all of this hardware. I have the left side done, I'm going to repeat the process over here on the right side. So I've already got this finished, but it was pretty much the same process. And now I'm going to mount this little bar right here. This is the hardware that I'll need to mount that rear bar. When you take this rear portion and you slide it, and even if you connect it on one side, if you look over here, you'll see that there's quite a difference in space that's not letting this bracket fit. And you might think that this bracket doesn't work. That's not really the case. We just have to squeeze the pannier racks in. So to do that, I'm going to use this quick clamp. So I'll come over to the opposite side. I'll get like a little bite on it. I'll come over here. And then now we can squeeze this thing together to the point where things will line up. So I'm going to start by inserting one bolt, just like this, through the hole. I'm going to put the flat washer and the lock nut very loose. And these nuts and lock nuts are a 10 millimeter. Now I'll get hardware for the other side, and I'll squeeze this clamp until I get this thing close enough where I can make the connection that I need to make. And at this point, this rear bar is connected and I can release the pressure off of this quick clamp. And now we're installed and everything's nice and solid. I can put my license plate back on and everything's good to go here. Okay, now right here on the grab handles, I'm going to install these extensions for the turn signals. You can see there's two flat washers, there's two nylon lock nuts, and two bolts. I have a 17 millimeter wrench for the nylon lock nuts and a 15 millimeter wrench for the bolts. I also have two wire kits, one for each side with the crimp connectors. So I'm going to extend the wires and then I'll make that connection. I have some electrical tape and then of course my crimping tool. Let's go ahead and get this one started. So we're just going to strip these wires a little bit back. Don't have to strip them too much. So here's what one blinker looks like. It's attached to the bracket. It's loose right here because I don't know what the orientation of the bracket's going to look like. So it's looking pretty good. It's looking pretty nice. So now I'll take this nut, one of the flat washers underneath, and one of the nylon lock nuts, and I'll install all of this. And I'm going to leave this fairly loose for now until I get my wires put exactly where I want them. So the wires are right here underneath. So I'm just going to make this little connection. Okay, so I've got these wires right here. I'm going to just strip these down and solder these connections together. My soldering iron is heating up right now. I just feel that this will be a stronger contact than those butt connectors. I just know that when I solder these together, they're not going to go anywhere. With all the vibrations and stuff that these kind of bikes go through, I don't want anything that's not going to be solid. I don't want my blinkers to stop working a year down the road because the wire came loose or something like that. So we're just going to twist those like so. We'll get these other ones, we'll twist these. Let's bring in this little soldering iron and see if we can't get these bad boys to make a connection here. There we go. That looks nice. Yeah, that looks pretty darn nice right there. So we'll let those cool down, and then you're probably wondering, how am I gonna keep them from touching each other? I'm gonna fold one towards the rear and one towards the front, just like this, and then I'm gonna wrap all of this with electrical tape. So that looks pretty good. I'm happy with that. We'll continue the process on the other side. Here comes this one. Okay, now we'll repeat the process here. That looks good. Those connections are done. Now I'll follow with the rag to clean it and the electrical tape to protect it. And that's really all there is to it, to making those connections. Now I'm going to tighten these nuts here. So the larger one is on the inside and the smaller one is on the outside. So I'm just going to tighten these brackets down, these light extensions. There we go. If I need to make further adjustments on these, I absolutely can. I'll have to take a look once the panniers are installed and see what they look like. Another thing that I need to do at this point is I need to test these turn signals. So let's turn the key on. Let's go to the left. There we go. Go to the right. There we go. So we have functioning turn signals. Brake light. Good. So we are good to go. I'm just going to run a little zip tie right here and just get that up out of the way. Nothing too crazy. And cut that end off, and that one's good. So the same thing kind of applies here. I just want this to be up and away from the exhaust. So I'm gonna just put a little zip tie right here, just to kind of keep that wire nice and up out of that exhaust. I think that will work really good, just like that. Cut the excess off. There we go. And now my wires are up and out of the way. I don't have to worry about them getting burned or anything like that. So now that the muffler side is done, I have two more zip ties I'm going to do on the left side of the bike. Same thing with the wires. I'm just going to get them up out of the way, make sure that they're secure, and we'll be done with this install. Well folks, that's all there is to it, to installing these Tusk Pannier racks on the DR650. It wasn't very hard. It did take a little bit of thinking, you know, when it came to like compressing the rear, stuff like that, but pretty easy task. I highly recommend using Loctite like I did in this video. The next step that you'll see will be actually installing the boxes on these racks, but that'll be in another video. So hopefully you enjoyed this one. I hope to see you on the next one. I love you all. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys have a beautiful day. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.